Hello everyone, we are Group 3 and our group's topic is International Monetary Systems, Past, Present and Future. Let's move on the introduction. The international monetary system is a cornerstone of global economic development, cooperation, and financial stability, and holds an extremely important position in the global economy. It regulates the methods of currency exchange, international balance of payments and adjustments, as well as the supply of liquidity in the global economy. The international monetary system has undergone numerous major changes, and each change reflects the political, economic, and technological progress of the era in which it exists. This article comprehensively explores the development process of the international monetary system, from its historical origin to the current form. Finally, it makes predictions about the future direction and pays attention to various factors that will have an impact on it, including technological, political, and institutional factors.
Now let's discuss the evolution of the monetary system. The first one, we need to focus on the bimetallisms. In this early period, both gold and silver are used as currencies or as the backing for currencies. The next one is the golden standard system. It is from 1875 to 1914. This system showed that the export and import of gold, the exchange rate between two currencies was determined by the gold content. However, after World War II, many countries were banned to export the gold, so the standard of gold system was break down. The next one is the interwar period. It is coming from 1915 to 1944. The United States returned to the gold standard in 1919, and during this period, many countries adopt gold sterilization policy, matching the inflow and outflow of gold with change in domestic money and credit. The next one is the Bretton Woods system. It is from 1945 to 1972. The system advocates the use of the gold and foreign exchange rate standard. Under this system, all countries use the US dollar as parity. However, in 1972, the Smithland Agreement was unlimitedly proven ineffective, and the Bretton Woods system eventually collaborated. So the next one is the floating exchange rate. It is from 1971 until now. Under this system, the central bank can intervene in the foreign exchange market to prevent unnecessary fluctuations. And gold was also officially abandoned as an international reserve asset. So, in conclusions, this is not only the evolution of the monetary systems, it also represents the continuous program of human economic development toward the modernization.
I will introduce the current international monetary system. After a collapse of Bretton Woods system in the 1970s, we entered a hybrid system. There is no single global rule. Each country chooses its own exchange rate policy. There are three main types. First, freely floating, like the US dollar or euro, set by market forces. Second, managed floating, like China and India, where governments intervene. Third, fixed or paged rates, common in smaller economies. According to the IMF, over 50% of countries use managed regions. The US dollar remains dominant, used in most trade, financial markets, and held in over 59% of global reserves. This gives the US a major advantage. Key global institutions include the IMF for financial stability, the World Bank for development aid, the BIS for central bank cooperation. Lastly, the system allows high capital mobility, which helps investment but increases risks like volatility and sudden outflows. This creates a policy challenge called the impossible trinity. In short, today's system is flexible and globalist, but also uneven and vulnerable.
Alright, I would like to briefly share about the changes and the future directions of the International Monetary System, or IMS. As the global economy evolves, the IMS faces several serious changes. One major issue is exchange rate volatility. While floating exchange rate give countries flexibility, they can also lead to sudden currency shocks, especially for developing countries that have weaker financial system. Another change is global imbalances, with the US dollar still dominating as the world main reserve currency. This creates what we call the tariff dilemma, where the US must keep running deficits to supply global liquidity, putting long-term pressure on global financial stability. In addition, many developing countries still don't have enough representation in institutions like IMF, despite their growing importance in the world economy. A more recent challenge is the rise of digital currencies, including cryptocurrencies and central bank digital currencies. Those innovations bring new risks related to regulation, monetary control, and financial stability. Looking ahead, what can we do? First, we must strengthen global cooperation, especially so reforms of the IMF to better reflect today's economy. Second, we need to diversity reserve currencies by promoting alternatives like the euro, the Chinese renminbi, and special drawing rights. To make a system more balanced, third, we must develop clear global regulation for digital currencies to reduce risks and issue fair use. Fourth, it's time to reform international financial institutions to give developing countries a stronger voice in global decision making. Finally, as the world faces climate change, we must also include climate-related financial risks in future monetary planning. If we take those steps, we can build a more stable, fair, and sustainable international monetary system for the future. Alright, that's all.
Hello everyone, my name is Senhao Ran. For this part, I'm going to talk about the conclusion about our topic. As we have seen throughout the evolution of the international monetary system, it is not a fixed structure but a system that consistently adapts to global realities. While today's system allows for unprecedented capital mobility and national monetary autonomy, it still struggles with key challenges: instability, persistent imbalances, and a lack of coordination. Looking to the future, three forces will shape the system's direction: technological innovation, the shift in global economic power, and the strength of international cooperation. For the system to become more inclusive, resilient, and adaptive, future reforms must carefully balance competing goals. The first one is the sovereignty and global coordination, and the second one is the efficiency and the fairness, and the last one is of innovation and regulation. By learning from the past and responding to today's realities, we can work towards a system that not only promotes economic growth but also supports global stability and shared prosperity. And thank you for listening for our group's presentation.